What's up? What's up? It's the Recap Lunch Hour with Guff, with me, Ryan McGuffey, here on the Recap on a beautiful Thursday. When I say beautiful, at least it's sunny outside. It's obviously cold. It's going to get really cold over the weekend. I feel like 'tis the season, always a good weekend to get out of town, holiday weekend. But a lot of people aren't because we just got off of some kind of winter break for a lot of people. Obviously, I was in the Bahamas. I won't be going anywhere. It's going to be cold. Happy Thursday, everyone. Doing it not from the palatial estate of the Recap Studios today. We are home and ready for you. Plenty to discuss. The Bears actually taking a breather for once after interviewing 12 candidates. Their 12th candidate last night, Mike McCarthy at Hallis Hall, as we knew, had dinner with Bears brass before taking off. We talked about, should they give him a contract? Well, they couldn't because they didn't have complied to the Rooney Rule. Todd Monken on deck for tomorrow, the Ravens OC. That'll be virtual. And we have Brian Flores from the Vikings on Saturday. A lot of these guys are making the rounds as we speak. The comments are coming in. Lefty, Guff! Broski, what up, Guff? Bradley, Guff, any news? Bears coaching. Yeah, we're talking about it right now. Taking a break today. No, at least that we know of. We could always get a text. I might as well see if there's a tweet, any updates from Bears. There is nothing scheduled as we currently know from the Chicago Bears today. Yeah, their last tweet was that they had completed an interview with Mike McCarthy. Johnny, hey, Guff, the Ricketts interview tomorrow should be fun. Johnny, to Johnny's point, Cap and I will be interviewing Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts at the Recap Studios tomorrow at 11 a.m. I think it's tomorrow morning. We'll definitely be doing it tomorrow. We will be dropping that interview tomorrow afternoon. Cap and I, prior to the start of Cubs convention. Yeah, so Johnny, that to your point will be fun. Make sure we're going to talk about the Cubs and White Sox here in a minute. Make sure you check out the Jed Hoyer, the president of baseball operations for the Cubs, sat down yesterday in our studios with Cap and Gordon Whitmire. Really good stuff. Over an hour long. Kind of covered all the bases, pun intended. Matt Burke should be the Texans' next head coach. Huh? The Texans next? Are you talking about the Cowboys? The Texans are in the playoffs, my friend. Lefty, brother, I am on the Gulf of Mexico, and they are calling for snow next Tuesday. Well, you might as well shut it down, Lefty. I can't imagine anyone's prepared to even see snow, let alone have it stick or accumulate down near the Gulf of Mexico. Thanks for chiming in, Lefty. Eric, Guff, let's just get this head coaching search over with. Good Lord, it's most likely going to be McCarthy because it's not worth waiting for Johnson. Look, the Bears have a lot of candidates on their list that are playing this weekend, right? Talk about Monken tomorrow. Both coordinators of the Lions, Cliff Kingsbury of the Washington Commanders, Joe Brady of the Buffalo Bills. Who else am I missing? That's 5 right there. Right? There's nobody from the Eagles. There's nobody. We got the 2 candidates from the Lions. There's no one from the Rams, I think, that we know of. We know the Chiefs, no. And the Tex. So there's 5 guys out there that are playing in the playoffs this weekend. So, look, I understand there's some impatience to get a coach, but not, all the other teams are not, with the exception of Vrabel. And we all knew Vrabel was going to the New England Patriots. Vrabel knew, the Patriots knew. The exception of that opening, everything else is taking long too. Like people are, I wouldn't say dragging their feet. They're just a lot of sexy candidates that are coaching in the playoffs. Broski says they couldn't give him a contract because of poor planning. I think we'd say that a little bit. Like part of me is kind of like, and I've talked about this on our recaps of the Bears coaching search this week. It's frustrating that if they really like the guy, they couldn't just wrap it up. At the same time, if this is a process, here's what I'll say to your point, Broski, if they lose McCarthy because of it, that's when it's infuriating. Ira wants to know, is Brian, I believe it's virtual, Ira, because no one can technically walk in the building until Monday that currently is under contract with another team. What up, Justin? Uncle Ted, that Shanahan tree with D'Amico, Texans defensive line, or defense is insane. Yeah, I know. I do think the Texans are going to fall yet again in a divisional round game this weekend. I think they will lose by 10 or more to the Kansas City Chiefs, who some people are exhausted, like my son, with the Chiefs. Me, not so much. I don't mind excellence. Graham, what's up? Bradley, breaking news. Bears interview David Kaplan. Hey, he'd take the interview. I know that. So would I. Why not? That's funny, Bradley. Elvis on a shark. What up? How do you think McCarthy would be received by fans because of Packers tie? Okay. I don't get it. I honestly, who gives a shit that he was the coach of the Packers? Like, why does that bother? If Matt LaFleur, let me ask you, if Matt LaFleur became available in the next coaching cycle and the Bears had a vacancy, would you not hire him because he coached the Packers and whipped our ass for all those years? I don't get that. This is, and it might not be a popular statement that I'm about to make. I don't hate the Packers, and it's sad. I envy them, and it sucks. Like, I have this kind of belief that you can't hate something you envy. And for basically the bulk of my life, I've pretty much envied what's been going on up north since the Favre years. So you got to go back 30 years and say, man, it's tough to hate a guy that's fun to watch or something you want. So no, I don't think it should matter at all. If anything, it's about time. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Everyone's starting to feel like it's a Mike McCarthy hire. Uncle Texans, sorry, you meant Bears. Okay, I got you. Corruption. Do you want Mike McCarthy and my Cowboys are interested in the Lions tight end coach? I believe it's Steve Hayden. And Robert Salah. Yeah, Salah's making the rounds. I saw him. He's going to be in Jacksonville. I think the Raiders. So, I mean, I think he complies with I think he is an interview that would be compliant with the Rooney Rule. I'm interested in Salah as possible DC here. If he's interested in going back to being a coordinator, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Uncle Ted, I think we're all in the same boat, my friend. Jess, whoa, you're interviewing Mr. Ricketts. That Jed Hoyer was good. You need to ask why Ricketts didn't pursue Soto. I think we'll bring up Soto with Tom Ricketts, just like we did with Jed Hoyer. We brought it up and, it was more of like, did that kind of catch your breath? We will talk about $700 million contracts, but yeah, we will be interviewing Tom Ricketts tomorrow. Leon, don't you mean the golf, Lefty, don't you mean the Golf of America? Ha, ha, ha. If it were that easy to rename it, probably would have been renamed years ago. Obviously, a big political week coming up next week. Be safe throughout the week. Jess, you shouldn't make a decision now. The better possible head coaching candidates are playing this weekend. Don't count them out, in my opinion. I agree with that, Jess. The thing about McCarthy is make sure that you've done the due diligence you're supposed to be doing in compliance with NFL rules. So when that time comes to make that offer, you're ready to go. Lefty, that's funny. The Bears are interviewing Joe Madden. You know what's funny? I love Joe. Like I've been to his house. I just absolutely love that man. Been so good to me. And I would tell you, it'd be worth talking to Joe Madden. That guy figured out how to break a curse of something in this town that had never been done. Take the information. You're getting information from everyone else. Is there anyone that you think should be the head coach of the Bears? Your personal opinion. I think my final three are Mike McCarthy in no order. Mike McCarthy, Ben Johnson, Pete Carroll. I think preferably this team could use some leadership and a former head coach that knows how to navigate the NFL, navigate the building, navigate the media, travel, all that stuff that the first-time head coach learns on the fly, is learning for the first time. A guy like Mike McCarthy and Pete Carroll, they don't have to be prepped. They don't have to be sat down and go, let's do a media training session. So I think I've been saying time and place. I think time and place in particular matter here. And to me, the timing and the place feel right for a former head coach to be. That'd be my pick. Danny, defensive coach Dan Quinn's lasting impression in Dallas was getting blown out against Green Bay, 48-32, I believe. He then is the head coach in Washington to pair with a rookie quarterback. The next Bears head coach doesn't have to be offensive. Agreed. The thing I liked about Dan Quinn going to Washington, though, Danny, he had done the job before at the highest level. He coached in the Super Bowl. Obviously, he's known for losing that 28-3 lead, but he learned. Then he was a coordinator somewhere, Dallas, and goes and gets another job in a cycle. I like Dan Quinn, if available today, would make sense to me as a really good candidate for the Bears. because he's got that stuff that I'm talking about, like that McCarthy have, that Pete Carroll's not an offensive coach. I'd love him if he were the Bears head coach. What up, Eli? Matt Burke developed the best defensive player in the NFL, Derek Stingley Jr. I like Uncle Ted coming in with a dark horse candidate. I don't think Matt Burke's on the list right now, if I'm not mistaken. How is it possible for anyone to have faith in the Bears? Lefty, we've been saying that for a couple of weeks, and I think you're right. Absolutely. Eric, I'm all in. If McCarthy gets hired and Micah Parsons comes to the Bears, that would be an unbelievable. That would fix our edge. I mean, now you're talking about dream scenario. I know Micah Parsons was on the Edge podcast yesterday talking about how devastated he is by the loss of Mike McCarthy and what he meant to that organization. And he also alluded that he felt like the Cowboys are going to kind of have to do a clean house, clean out type situation. Not a rebuild, but kind of like, where do we go from here? And maybe Micah Parsons wants out. That would be something to keep an eye on, especially for a team that has a lot of cap room, even though their biggest needs are on the offensive line. That defensive front, that front seven of the defense needs some work. We know the defensive line, the linebackers could probably be an upgrade. Danny wants to go throw me a curveball here. The Chicago Fire, interested in Neymar. This is the first time the Chicago Fire have ever been brought up on the Recap Lunch Hour, and I appreciate it. I'm here for it. That'd be awesome for the Fire. That'd be awesome for this city. There's a boatload of soccer fans in this town that we know of. And you want to cater to a market, that'd do it. Think about that. I mean, look at what Miami's done with Messi. Look at what that did for the game. Look at what that did for tickets. Look at different tickets in this town when Messi and Miami came here to play. Gross Guffy, boo Packers. I'm assuming that you mean you don't like the fact that I said I don't hate the Packers and I envy them. Leon, see, right after you, Justin, Leon, I got you. I know, it's hard. Bold prediction. The White Sox will have a good March and April. Eli, whatever you're drinking during the lunch hour, I will happily have some because I don't know what good means to you, but my bold reality to you is I don't believe that'll be true. But if whatever you're drinking, let us know. And I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, aren't you watching this at night somewhere? So if you are, pass one this way. Get one to Jess, too, who's out. Our Pittsburgh contact, Jess. My football brain says Matt LaFleur would be a great choice, but I know if the shoe were on the other foot, it would be hard to embrace Harbaugh on the Steelers. That's because I'm a diehard fan. I mean, great coaches are tough. Great coaches are tough to pass on. Justin's got a bold prediction, and my God, man, I don't know who's crazier. Who's drinking more right now? Is it Justin or Eli? Justin says they won't lose more than 90 games, which puts the White Sox at 72 wins, which is 31 more than they had a year ago, which would probably be another Major League Baseball record for biggest turnaround. I'd have to look. Lefty agrees with you, Jess. The Bushes, Rumorville, McCarthy to New Orleans, and Aaron Rodgers to be his starting quarterback. I could see that. I could see that. The Saints would need to do some major restructuring. Their salary cap number sucks. They are really screwed, and they're up against it, and Derek Carr's number is a big reason why. So I don't know if the logistics would make sense because Aaron Rodgers isn't coming for $2 million. Michael, who, in your personal opinion, do you want as head coach of the Bears that will help Caleb? Yeah, I kind of answered that as my top three. I think an offensive, that's McCarthy makes a lot of sense here, guys. McCarthy makes a lot of sense. Hot take. The White Sox win 80. What is going on? What is Uncle Ted? What are you? Fill this glass up, man. That's not vodka, but I kind of want it to be with the way you guys are talking. Jeez, oh, Pete. Now we're going 80 wins. Woo. All right, so the Rooney rule, that's R-O-O-N-E-Y, the Rooneys in Pittsburgh. So minority candidates were not getting fair shakes at openings in the NFL years ago. And they've been the owner of the Steelers for years. Long story short, in order for minority candidates to really make sure they're getting in front of ownerships and a chance to interview for these, they weren't even getting interviews. Forget being considered. Now the NFL adopted a rule that says every team, I think it used to be one, now it's two, and they have to be in person, and they can't be somebody that's already in your building. Like Thomas Brown did not count for the Rooney Rule because the Bears already had him employed. McCarthy, Johnson, Monken is a heck of a group too. Yeah, that's Cap's top 3. He's replacing Carroll with Monken, and I don't disagree. Like you're in good. Like Caleb Williams would be in really good hands. Uncle Ted wants Ashton Genty in the draft. My son and I certainly love using him. Yeah, I think I ran for 4 touchdowns with him a little bit a few days ago in College Football 25. Ira, why don't you think Mike McCarthy is John Fox 2.0? First of all, Mike McCarthy is coming off of successful seasons in Dallas. You might not say this year was a success. They had a boatload of injuries. They played well down the stretch. Yes, they finished 7-10, but 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 with the number 1 and number 2 offense 2 straight years. You had a quarterback that put up career numbers and got paid in Dallas. I don't see Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy is still going. I don't understand why the Cowboys moved on from him. And the roster at that point when John Fox came in, first of all, John Fox, that's the year they signed Mike Glennon and surprised him by drafting Mitch Trubisky without telling him. So that's cool. So there was a mess going on in the inner circle. I'm all out. Yeah, Thomas, it's funny to me that you're all out if McCarthy comes. I don't like that's the reason you're jumping off the wagon, Mike McCarthy. I mean, okay, like there would have been like 13 other reasons I jumped long before Mike McCarthy was hired. But I understand, like I get some people are he's a retread. I get it. What if Washington beat Detroit this weekend? I love the Lions this weekend, by the way. Side note. Can we get Ben Johnson in house on Monday 120 despite the teams are not operating. You can have people in your building on the 20th. So the answer to your question is yes. I don't see the scenario. What happens is everyone going to love Ben Johnson if the Commanders roll in, go 34-14 and his offense looks like crap? Everyone's like ripping the Vikings now for the last 2 games. I don't think so, but I'm just painting that same scenario. Sourcing. Needed more experience. I agree with you, Sourcing. Loving the mask and the profile picture, right? Bradley, your thoughts? Caleb wants some influence from head coach on the Amon St. I think right now, I don't know if they need to include Caleb in anything. I do think if they narrow their list down to like around 2 and people are in House Hall, I do think it's okay to, at that point, talk to Caleb about what he would like. Maybe he sits in the final rounds. I don't know. I don't want players having too much influence on a coach. I think some influence, some voice as to like what they're looking for. But I think giving players access to like who you hire is a dangerous, very slippery slope. The real Phil Simms. Good afternoon. What's your feedback on the interview with Jed yesterday? I thought it was fantastic. Bregman, Yates, Scott, and Alonzo are all out there. Cubs convention starts tomorrow. Yeah. So for all of you out there, if you haven't listened, we put a question out there like, who has more pressure on them this year or kind of overall right now? On the channel, we have last week's White Sox recap podcast with Chris Getz. We have a new podcast that dropped last night answering your questions for Sox Fest. That's next week. And then the Cubs recap podcast with President Jed Hoyer, also available. It's definitely out there. You should take it out. Take a look at it and listen and let us know what you think. A lot of comments coming in. Bregman, yes, the report's out there that they would consider a shorter-term deal. He did turn down a 6 for $156 from the Astros last year. I don't see right now the Cubs being all that close to an Alex Bregman deal. I think checking in with him makes sense. But Michael, this is your Rooney Rule question. You followed it up with this one. A virtual meeting does not count. You have to be in person. Lefty, I agreed. The other thing about Ben Johnson here, Lefty, while we know he might be the most creative mind or one of the more creative minds in the NFL, we don't know anything about him leading a room. We don't know anything about him leading a football team. When you're the head coach, you oversee every department: weightlifting, training, diet, defense, quarterback, offense, all travel. Like you're overseeing everything, the media, all of it. As a Cubs fan, I never hated the Cardinals, says Lefty. They were always leaps and bounds above us, and that's what you want to emulate. Not hate. Exactly. I think That's kind of how I feel about the Packers. And it's crazy. Thomas is ripping everyone. Like, Thomas is just out there saying he's out. So, like, fine. Closet Packers fan, real Bears fans hate the That's fine, Thomas. I mean, a lot of real Bears fans still talk about 1985. Okay. I'm sick of talk. Or they're like, oh, Mike McCarthy only has one Super Bowl. So do the Bears. Like, I think it's okay to fast forward and evolve as Bears fans and be like, I hate the Packers when they line up to play the Packers. I hate them. I can't wait for the Bears to beat them. But as a Bears fan, in my head, I'm going, man, they've owned us for so long. I just want to flip the script. No update pager on Pete Carroll other than they did meet with him last week virtually. That was an interview they did with him. So, we haven't heard his name out there a bunch since then. We'll see what happens. Justin, I asked what you're drinking. You don't drink. Good for you, brother. Good for you. It's nice how you feel, by the way. I've had a pretty clean January here, cleaning up a little bit. It's amazing how well you sleep. All right, so you're just nuts. That's what it is. Since the White Sox aren't winning, losing more than 72 games. OPS against right-handed pitching wins championships. I love Landon say inconceivable for 80 games. Oh, here we go, Clyde. I always ignore you on the White Sox recap podcast at Ryan McGuffey. Clyde, there's no effing way, man. I sing every single day. I talk about Clyde Norwood Jr., my guy. So I know this is your thing, but I sure as hell aren't ignoring you. Why waste Noah Schultz's elbow throwing those insane sliders in the minors? Go get that pick. Noah Schultz wins Rookie of the Year without question. About a month ago, we had John Eli on the podcast, on the White Sox Recap podcast, me and Brian Anderson. John Eli was the pitching coach last year in Birmingham. He had his hands on all these guys, including Noah Schultz. He believes while Noah Schultz is going to be better than Garrett Crochet, yes, I said that, and so did he. He said that, and I'm letting you know what he said. He believed that he should not be in the majors this year. He believed he should get his work, get his innings, and get everything flowing in the minors before you bring him up. I didn't hate that idea, especially with where the White Sox are. I think that Noah Schultz will be up at some point. But it was an interesting take. If you want to go back and listen to it, Uncle Ted, I think it's really good. Watch your boy Chuck's podcast. That's what his bold prediction was? No way. I'm going to have to go listen to that, Eli. By the way, I'm going to see if I can get the band back together for an episode. I don't know what the rules are at CHSN. Some people think Chuck and I are doing this now and we're competitors. Dude, there's room for multiple podcasts. Why would we both not have a podcast in the space? It's only good for Sox fans. I'd like to have the band back together before the season starts, so I'll work on that. Phil, the Bulls should be ashamed of themselves for losing to the Pelicans. Cooper Flagg looked good on Tuesday versus Miami and has been on fire lately. Just saying. You're contradicting yourself, Phil. We want the Bulls to lose as many games as possible, so there's a chance that we're talking about Cooper Flagg on the Bulls a year from now. So I don't think they should be ashamed of themselves at all. Matter of fact, back-to-back losses, bad losses. The effort last night sucked. Check out the recap on the channel. I like we're starting to, I came up with a slogan for us here at the recap because of how bad the Chicago sports teams are. We watch the game so you don't have to. I mean, I'm serious. I think we should have merch about that. We watch the game so you don't have to. This is going to be a tough one, Lefty. I'm looking forward to talking about this on Monday. My head says Ohio State. My heart says Notre Dame. The gambling side of me is stripping it down. I like the 8. It feels like I feel like this game feels like it's 41-10 or 24-20. I think if Notre Dame's defense is for real, Jeremiah Love is for real on offense. They can't afford to fall down 14-0. They're not a team that I don't think could really chase unless you have Angeli, the backup quarterback, come in and start throwing. If Notre Dame could pop them in the mouth with a big play early, get a turnover, take a 7-0 lead, we've seen Ohio State turn on themselves. I'll get a prediction on Monday. You're right. It's the one thing the White Sox do really, really well, and Mason Adams is a stud. Cowboys injuries are a little misleading. Dak played 9 games. I think Dak did he play 9 or I thought he played 7, but whatever. Also, the defense sucked, Mike. Look at the points allowed in those games. I mean, I'm okay. If you guys don't want Mike McCarthy, that's fine. Just, you better be right. The whole thing, whoever the Bears hire, they better be right. Uncle Ted, It's as crazy as that's as crazy as your White Sox prediction. It really is. Yeah, and I think this is a point for our guy. Where is he at? This is for Thomas, I'm pretty sure. Mike's saying, so you hang with this team through Trustman, Nagy, and Eberlus, but McCarthy is the end. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of the same way on that. A lot of questions coming in, guys. Won't get to them all. Justin, if the Sox win 70, every person that thinks they'll lose 100 has to run Chicago in a bikini. Oh, I'll do better than that. Bikini. I'll go full banana hammock. No one wants to see. Maybe some. But I don't think they're winning 70. Yeah, I just talked about that, Eric. We'll talk more about that on Monday. Michael, McCarthy can get you to the playoffs consistently. If your QB is truly generational, they can get you to the Super Bowl. Michael, very well said, my friend. A couple more. Would McCarthy take a Jets head coaching position, reunite with Aaron? I don't think the Jets are bringing Aaron back. That's just me. I don't think they want him back, but that's an interesting take. First of all, I think McCarthy would take any job. If you get the head coach, that's fine. I hate the McCaskies more than I hate the Packers. I pray every day they sell. I mean, that's right, James. A lot of people are feeling you, man. A lot of people feeling you. Eli, okay, so I called out two guys who don't drink. I'm sorry. Then you're just crazy. And it takes a little craziness to make bold predictions. I love it. Next week will be a year without alcohol for you. Man, you know what, guys? I'm serious. Landon, that's something to be proud of, brother. I love it. I love it, man. It's not easy. I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud. Thank you for sharing. My goodness. Phil, you Guff are definitely that dude. Phil, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you guys. Noah Schultz, the next Randy Johnson 2.0. Wow. I don't want to disagree with that. Looks like a couple more. Justin, January 30th, my 5th anniversary of giving up drinking. My last weekend was after the last Sox Fest. It's my own. Justin, man, geez, guys. This is awesome. What a community. I can't believe that we started this little thing, called the REKAP Lunch Hour about 2 months ago. And it just was like a little thing, right? It had a few viewers here and there. And now you guys are part, like, we do this every day. I feel very thankful for this group. And I'm glad that you guys come in every day with all these questions and comments and your thoughts, whether we like them or not. It's okay to talk about them, but sharing this type of stuff to me is powerful. And I thank you guys. And this thing's expanded. Now we're getting, we went from 100 to 300, 300 to 600, 600. Now we're 1,200. We're getting every single day. So I think it's awesome. You are welcome, Justin. Appreciate you guys, man. It is really, really, really cool. Thomas, dude, don't be ripping on people. I don't get it. Or if you do, I'll just stop commenting on your stuff. I don't want to be that guy, but there's a pretty good saying. I won't edit it. Just don't be a dick. If you're just a good person, so many good things can happen. All right. Pedro, is the way Bears fans hate the Packers the same Whites. No, I don't even hate the Cubs. The White Sox and Cubs both won the World Series. When that happened, I kind of feel the same on that too. I don't care what the Cubs. I could care if the Sox would have traded Garrett Crochet to the Cubs and they won a World Series. It got to the playoffs. It would have been good for Chicago. Whatever. All right, guys, let's get to our daily bet of the day because we got the win last night. The St. Bonaventure Bonnies had a 13-point lead at the half. It got down to 1 in the second half. We were laying 13.5, and the Bonnies won by 14. Lip Ripper, I haven't seen him on today, but Lip Ripper had UNLV plus 5.5. He's a UNLV grad. What the hell? I'll play it late. They won outright. So Lip Ripper, I'm giving you a tip of the cap. Today, my bet of the day, Michigan and Big Ten Hoops playing Minnesota at Minnesota. Minnesota is the worst team in the country against the spread. St. Bonaventure, the best in the country. I rode that train last night. I'm going to ride Michigan. They've covered in 5 straight games. Minnesota sucks. They're terrible. And I'm going to go with the hot hand here. Again, I'm going to ride the trend. We're 11-4, got off the schneid last night. Let's get a dub from Michigan here on the road. I know it's on the road, but that's the bet of the day. A couple more things I want to get to here before we take off. First off, all right, rest in the great Bob Uecker. Had the chance to meet him at some point in my career. And, it's like, I love the movie Major League. I love listening to on the radio. I loved Mr. Belvedere as a kid. For those of you who are kids of the 80s and early 90s, it just is too bad. I mean, landed just a bit outside. Ball 1, ball 4, ball 8. Bob Uecker was in the clubhouse last year when the Brewers clinched the division, and Pat Murphy, the manager, brought him over, had his arm around him like this in the team circle before they all popped the champagne and talked about how important he was. He's more Milwaukee than anybody. And they poured him with champagne. When the Brewers lost, Christian Yelich was crying and gave a very memorable interview and talked about how much it hurt, but more so because of guys like Ueck. And then he passes away 10 days before his 91st birthday. The great Bob Uecker, just 90 years old. What a life. A story within a story within a story. I think we all were better for having Ueck in our lives and having the opportunity to, grow up with him was pretty damn special. And then flipping the script, the circle of life, Momma Guff. You want to talk about like heroes, like this person to me, that's her, man. She's like, I can't, it's hard for me to say 70 and mom together because she just is like the ageless beauty queen to me. And, she's just getting going. That's the best part. She's just getting going. That's the Guffs. That's Momma Guff there, obviously in the middle. Happy birthday, Mom. You are the best. I'm not here without you. We all know that. I'm taking the time on this show to let you know how much I love you. We love you. You just mean so much to so many people. And I can't believe that, like, I won the mom lottery. And she's just the absolute best people. So thanks for giving me the space to celebrate the best. She is absolutely the greatest. Happy birthday, Momma Guff. Mama McGladry, for all of you who know the joke. Absolutely. Appreciate that, Phil. Sean, appreciate you. Thank you, guys. And just wanted to get those two in. Bob Uecker, rest in peace. And Mom, can't wait to see you later tonight, celebrating your birthday. I'm a big believer in celebrating your day. I take it. We go as long as we can with it, a week, a month. We're taking this one into next weekend for sure. A huge party for Justin. Thank you very much. And a couple more here. Pablo wants to know the REKAP hoodie. Where can we get it? You're welcome for the show, Pablo, a core member, an OG. We got to get these on sale. I've told Cap, there's only a couple people outside of the people at the REKAP who have them. Momma Guff is going to be one of them. And Armando, I will be at Cubs Convention briefly tomorrow for those of you going to Cubs Convention, and I will probably be at Sox Fest on Friday. Speaking of Sox Fest, I will have tickets next week to give away. One pair for Friday, one pair for Saturday. I will keep you guys in the loop with how we're giving those away. We're probably going to give a pair right here on the lunch hour. We may give another pair on the podcast as well. Appreciate you, Pablo. Appreciate all of you. Mom, happy birthday. You're the greatest. 70's the new 40. You're just getting going. So I hope you got a lot more in the tank. For all of us at the REKAP, for me, Ryan McGuffey Guff, appreciate you guys for watching another edition of the REKAP Lunch Hour here on the REKAP. Make sure you check out all of the content that we dropped yesterday. 3 podcasts, The Bulls with Joe Cowley and Cody Westerland. Me and Brian Anderson answered your questions for Sox Fest. And then most importantly, Jed Hoyer in our studio yesterday with Cap and Gordon. That's available also on audio form only, wherever you download and listen to your podcast. It's available on the YouTube channel. And we will have Tom Ricketts in studio tomorrow. We'll flip that thing around too, so you can get that out as quickly as possible. Appreciate you watching. We'll do it again tomorrow. Go Michigan. Let's keep the REKAP Bet of the Day alive.